A cheerful little girl yelled as she ran inside the orphanage where she lived.
Can you imagine the joy of a child finding a place to call home?
From the kitchen, Lyanna rushed out and knelt down to welcome her 6-year-old daughter, wrapping her in a tight embrace. More children around the same age followed her, just getting home from school.
How was school, kids? Lyanna asked with a smile. Did you all listen to your teachers? No one gave them trouble, I hope. All the children eagerly shook their heads in unison. We were good, Mama, just like you told us to be, replied Cararissa, Lyanna's daughter. Stay tuned to Dark Voices to find out how this heartwarming story unfolds.
Lyanna kissed her daughter on the forehead and gave the other kids warm hugs in greeting.
All right, enough of that. Go change your clothes.
We've got snacks ready for you here, said Sister Anne, stepping into the hallway. She was one of the nuns who helped manage the orphanage and took care of the children.
There were at least 5 children under their care, each with their own heartbreaking story.
Some were abandoned, others orphaned, and a few were left behind with no one to claim them. Despite the orphanage's limited resources, Lyanna and the nuns worked hard every day to give the children a better life, a life filled with love and compassion.
What secrets from the past will unravel in this touching tale? Keep watching Dark Voices to discover the truth.
Among the kids was Cararissa, whom Lyanna had come to love as her own daughter. Though Cararissa wasn't her biological child, Lyanna, only 25 years old, had devoted herself entirely to the orphanage. She never had time for dating or starting her own family. Just like the kids here, Lyanna had grown up in this very orphanage. Raised without parents and relying on the kindness of the sisters who took her in, she now helped care for the children and manage the place she had always called home.
Cararissa's story, however, was different from the others. Her parents hadn't abandoned her. She wasn't left on a doorstep or dumped in a hospital lobby.
Cararissa had been 3 years old when Lyanna saved her from a hospital fire.
After the fire, Lyanna tried to find Cararissa's parents.
She had no information about who the little girl was or where she came from. When she turned her over to the police, the child clung to her, crying uncontrollably, refusing to be separated.
Lyanna couldn't just walk away. She brought her home.
And though she never stopped checking with the police for leads about Cararissa's family, no one ever came forward. From then on, Lyanna became her world. She gave her a new name, a new identity, and poured her heart into raising her like her own. Even if she had no clue how to be a mother, she gave everything she had. But Lyanna never stopped hoping she'd one day find Cararissa's real parents. Not because she didn't want to be her mom, but because every child deserved to know where they came from. Cararissa grew up kind, cheerful, and loving, and Lyanna was so proud of her. Sure, she could be a little mischievous sometimes, but what child wasn't? Never for a second did Lyanna regret raising her. That night, after the nuns had put the kids to bed, Lyanna lay beside Cararissa as she told her all about her day at school. I sang in front of the whole class today, Mama, Cararissa announced excitedly. Everyone clapped for me and said I had a pretty voice. Lyanna chuckled. Well, my baby really is amazing. She had known for a long time that Cararissa had a beautiful singing voice. Every time the orphanage hosted a little program or event, everyone would ask Cararissa to sing. Her voice was sweet, clear, and full of charm. Everyone loved to hear her. As Lyanna watched her daughter yawn, she knew sleep was finally setting in. The night was quiet. All right, sweetheart. Time to sleep. We need to wake up early tomorrow. We're expecting a visitor, Lyanna said gently, kissing her daughter's forehead. Good night, Mama. I love you so much, Cararissa mumbled sleepily before closing her eyes. Lyanna held her tight, so tight as if afraid she'd be taken away. She gently stroked her daughter's hair as Cararissa drifted off to sleep. A quiet sadness crept over Lyanna's face. She knew deep down that she had to be ready for the possibility that one day Cararissa's real parents might show up. As painful as it would be to lose her, Lyanna had always promised herself. Until that day came, she would be the one to protect her. She would never stop searching. And no matter what, even if you didn't come from me, she whispered, I love you with all my heart, my child. She hugged her daughter once more and let the silence wrap around them.
The next morning, everyone was up early. It was Saturday, so there were no classes for the children. The entire orphanage was bustling with activity as they cleaned the place in preparation for a special visitor. Someone was donating a large amount of money to celebrate their birthday. And Liana had been assigned to go to the market to buy food for the small celebration. She didn't take Carissa with her. She knew she'd be too busy shopping and wouldn't be able to keep a close eye on her daughter. After hours of shopping, Liana finally stood at a street corner, waiting for the traffic light to turn red so she could cross. She rested her heavy bags on the sidewalk, letting her arms relax for a moment. As soon as the light changed, she lifted the bags and began to cross, but she wasn't halfway across when a luxury car sped dangerously close, almost hitting her. Startled, Liana dropped her groceries. Eggs broke and vegetables rolled all over the road. My eggs. My vegetables. All my groceries, she shouted, horrified as she looked at the mess. She didn't know what to pick up first. There was just too much. Glaring at the car that nearly hit her, she began collecting the broken eggs in anger. Without hesitation, she started throwing them at the expensive car. Get out of there. Were you trying to end my life, huh? Didn't you see the red light? Why were you speeding like that? Headed to heaven, are you? She screamed furiously as she continued to pelt the vehicle with eggs. She didn't care if people were staring. She'd worked hard to carry all that food, and now it was ruined just like that. From the luxury car, a tall, handsome man stepped out, one who would normally make any woman swoon. But not Liana. No matter how good-looking he was, her anger far outweighed any admiration. Are you blind? She snapped. Look what you did to me. Didn't you see the red light? You were supposed to stop. The man, Jordan, let out a deep sigh. Where were you going? Were you in such a rush to get to heaven? Liana continued to rant. Jordan looked down at the broken eggs and the furious young woman. I'm sorry, miss. I didn't mean to. I was just in a hurry to get somewhere important, he said calmly, kneeling to help pick up the scattered groceries. Liana sighed and helped him pick up the rest. Once they were done, Jordan took out his wallet and offered her some cash. Here, please take this. I really am sorry, he said, still apologetic. Liana snatched the money from his hand with a scowl, rolled her eyes, and was about to leave when something inside the car caught her attention. Jordan noticed her sudden change in expression. She returned the cash and pointed toward a toy turtle sitting inside the vehicle. Keep your money. I want that toy in your car instead. I'll give it to my daughter, she said firmly. Her voice was still sharp. Clearly, she hadn't forgiven him yet. Jordan hesitated. That toy meant a lot to him. It had once belonged to his late child. He held it tightly for a second before finally retrieving it from the car and handing it to her. Here, please take care of it, he said softly, biting his lower lip. Liana took the toy and walked away without saying another word or apologizing for the eggs she had thrown. Jordan returned to his car, shaking his head as he drove off. When Liana arrived back at the orphanage, her expression was still sour. Some of the nuns noticed and asked what happened. Liana didn't hold back. She told them the entire story, her voice still thick with irritation. The sisters understood, though they were thankful that the man didn't just drive off. At least he helped and offered compensation. He should have helped. None of that would have happened if it weren't for him, Liana muttered to herself. She looked around, searching for her daughter. Where's Carissa, Sister Anna? She asked, her tone calmer now. Mom, I'm right here, came a high-pitched voice. Carissa ran toward her, smiling from ear to ear. Liana's eyes widened in shock. Her daughter's clothes and skin were smeared with all sorts of colored paint. She'd clearly been busy painting at the back of the orphanage. Oh my gosh, sweetie, what happened to you? That's going to be so hard to clean, Liana said, troubled. Carissa just giggled. But how could Liana stay mad? She's just having fun with the other kids, that's all, one of the nuns said with a kind smile. Liana sighed again. What else can I do? Come on, let's get you cleaned up. The visitors will be here soon. Sister Anna, would you mind starting on the cooking? I'll just take care of my daughter. The nuns nodded and Lyanna took Carissa for a bath.
Mom, Sister Eva told me I'll be singing later for the guests, Carissa said excitedly while Lyanna washed the paint off her skin.
Oh, really? What are you planning to sing, sweetheart? I don't know yet, Mama. Maybe that lullaby I always sing. Lyanna froze. That lullaby.
She had never heard it before. Carissa sometimes sang it to herself, but Lyanna didn't know where she'd learned it. It wasn't anything Lyanna had taught her, and it didn't sound familiar at all.
She began to wonder, was it something Carissa's real parents used to sing to her when she was a baby? After dressing her daughter, Lyanna smiled and pulled out the toy turtle she'd gotten earlier. Here, baby. Mommy has a gift for you. What is it, Mama?
Carissa asked, eyes wide with anticipation.
Ta-da! Lyanna revealed the turtle. Carissa's eyes sparkled with joy as she took the toy. It's so cute.
Thank you so much, Mama, she exclaimed, throwing her arms around Lyanna's neck.
Lyanna didn't regret trading the cash for the toy.
Not when her daughter was this happy. The event had finally begun. Everyone gathered outside the orphanage, lined up neatly to welcome their guests. The nuns stood at the front with Lyanna, and right beside her was Carissa. The rest of the children were behind them. Soon, 3 luxury cars pulled into the orphanage's large gate. Everyone straightened up. They knew the generous guest they had been waiting for had arrived. But Lyanna stared at one of the vehicles, her brows furrowed. The car looked eerily familiar. Wait a second. I know this car, she murmured, her voice just loud enough for the nuns beside her to hear. This is the car that nearly hit me earlier. Are you sure about that, Lyanna? Maybe you're mistaken, Sister Anna replied. Someone almost hit you with their car earlier, Mama? Carissa asked, curious. Lyanna didn't answer. Her attention was fixed on the vehicles that had come to a halt in front of them. Her heart pounded as she waited for the owner of the car to step out. Then her eyes widened. She hadn't been wrong at all. The man who had almost run her over and who she had screamed at and pelted with eggs was none other than the guest they had been waiting for. It's him, she whispered in disbelief. Happy birthday, Mr. Jordan, the children and staff chorused together. Lyanna, however, stood frozen in place. Of all the people who could have donated to the orphanage, why did it have to be him? Jordan stepped out of the car and smiled as he recognized her. Well, we meet again, he said cheerfully when his eyes landed on Lyanna. She forced a nervous smile. She didn't know what to do or say. Mama, say something, Carissa whispered, tugging gently at her mother's hand. Good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Jordan, Lyanna said quickly before turning her gaze away. Embarrassed, she remembered how she'd yelled at him and thrown eggs at his car earlier. Now she didn't know how to face him. Jordan smiled and shifted his attention to Carissa, but when his eyes landed on the little girl, he froze. She looked just like his daughter, who had passed away. From her eyes down to her lips, everything about her mirrored his child. With tears threatening to fall, Jordan knelt down to meet her at eye level. His gaze shifted to the toy turtle in her hands, the same one he had given Lyanna earlier. What's your name, sweetheart? Do you like that toy? Jordan asked softly. My name's Carissa, and yes, I love this toy. My mama gave it to me, she beamed, hugging it close. Jordan gently ran his hand over her hair. Really? Well, I brought lots of toys for all of you. You'll see them later. Carissa's eyes lit up. Really? Thank you so much. The other kids around them squealed with excitement, thrilled to know that Jordan had come bearing gifts. Even though it was his birthday, he was the one giving to them. As Jordan toured the orphanage with the nuns, Lyanna stayed back to help unload the gifts from his vehicles. She assisted his staff as they carried out toys and supplies. She couldn't hide her amazement. Both of the cars were packed full of presents for the children. Mama, he's really nice. Look at everything he brought for us, Cararissa said, full of wonder.
He is, Liana replied. Mama actually feels bad, sweetheart. I wasn't very nice to him earlier. Oh no, Mama. You're in trouble. He won't give you a gift now, Cararissa teased, giggling. Liana laughed and playfully pinched her daughter's cheek. That's okay. I don't need a gift.
I already have the silliest and most lovable daughter in the world, she said, showering Cararissa with kisses that made the little girl laugh even more. After the tour, Jordan and the others gathered in a beautifully decorated area near the garden for a small program and celebration. Liana and the kids had helped set it up, and it looked bright and inviting. The event began with everyone singing happy birthday to Jordan as they brought out 2 birthday cakes with lit candles.
Everyone smiled. The children sang, and Jordan couldn't help but grin at the surprise. He hadn't expected any celebration. He just wanted to bring joy to the kids. Thank you so much.
I didn't expect all this, he said quietly after blowing out the candles.
That's not all we've prepared, Mr. Jordan, Sister Anna said. The kids have a lot more surprises for you. It's their way of saying thank you for your donations and the gifts.
The children began their performances.
Some danced, others sang, recited poems, or acted in skits. Jordan was thoroughly entertained.
He saw so much talent in every child.
Finally, it was Cararissa's turn. She was going to sing just like she always did. Jordan couldn't take his eyes off her.
From the moment he had met her earlier, she hadn't left his thoughts. She looked so much like his daughter. She looks just like my little girl, he thought. She'd probably be this beautiful if she were still alive. Jordan still grieved for the child he thought he'd lost. Every year on his birthday, he visited orphanages and donated toys and money. It was something his daughter had loved doing, and it was the only way he knew how to cope with his loss. Cararissa began to sing, just as she had told Liana the night before. It was a lullaby. A lullaby she didn't even know where she had learned. She had just started singing it one day as if her heart remembered it, even if her mind did not. From the very first note, tears streamed down Jordan's face. He knew that song. It wasn't just familiar. It was his daughter's song. It was the lullaby he and his late girlfriend used to sing to their daughter, Elise. Every single day, without fail, they would sing it to her. It had been their family's theme song. And now, this little girl was singing it flawlessly. Perfect tone, perfect lyrics, as if his daughter had come back to life. My daughter, Jordan whispered through his tears. Liana, who was standing beside him, heard him loud and clear. Her heart pounded in her chest. Was he? Could he be Cararissa's real father? It couldn't be. The world wasn't that small, was it? Jordan suddenly stood up, startling everyone. Cararissa hadn't even finished singing when he rushed over and wrapped his arms tightly around her. So tightly, it was as if he never wanted to let her go. My daughter, you're alive. You're alive, he kept repeating. The nuns exchanged confused glances, and Liana felt the weight of their eyes turning toward her. I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan, Cararissa said awkwardly, her breathing strained. I'm not your daughter. Liana quickly stepped forward, gently pulling Cararissa away from Jordan. Sir, please. She can't breathe, Liana said. Everyone was shocked. A quiet commotion spread through the crowd. Jordan seemed to snap out of his daze, realizing what he'd just done. Were you crying because you remembered your daughter when I sang? Cararissa asked innocently, reaching up to wipe his tears. Is that why you called me your child? What happened to her? Why isn't she with you now? I'm sorry, baby girl, Jordan replied gently. I just got carried away. I'm sorry. Please go on with your program. Liana didn't know what to feel. Her eyes followed Jordan as he slowly walked away from them. Her heart beat with fear. She'd noticed the resemblance. She'd seen it in their faces. Could he really be the father she had spent so many years looking for? Why had he only appeared now? Why hadn't he searched
For Carissa back then? Mama, what just happened? Why did he call me his daughter? Is he the dad you've always talked about? Or maybe my song was just really bad and he didn't like it, Carissa asked sadly.
Lyanna gently cupped her daughter's face before leaving her in the care of the nuns.
She followed the direction Jordan had gone.
As she walked, she stepped on something.
Looking down, she saw an expensive-looking wallet.
Without hesitation, she picked it up and slowly opened it, curious to see who it belonged to. What she found made her gasp and cover her mouth in shock.
Inside was a family photo. Jordan and a toddler version of Carissa. It's true. He really is her father, Lyanna whispered tearfully. She ran through the orphanage, checking room after room until she finally spotted Jordan inside his car. He was still crying. Quietly, Lyanna approached the car and opened the passenger door, slipping inside. Jordan looked surprised. This?
I think you dropped it, she said, holding up the wallet. Jordan wiped his tears and took it, opening it to glance at the picture inside.
I'm sorry, Lyanna. I didn't mean to grab your daughter like that. I just couldn't help it, he said, voice trembling. That song she sang. It's ours. My late girlfriend and I wrote it for our daughter. Only the three of us knew it. No one else.
Lyanna's heart broke as she watched him speak, the pain so visible in his eyes. So he really thought his daughter died in the fire, she asked herself. He had no idea I saved her. Now she wondered, was this the right moment to return Carissa to her real father? Jordan let out a dry laugh as he stared at the photograph. How did your daughter even learn that lullaby? Who taught her? That song was private. Just me and her mother knew it. We made it for our baby, he said. Lyanna bit her lip, watching as the children ran outside with the toys Jordan had donated. The program had clearly just ended. She looked at Carissa, who wore a big smile. Her heart ached. She's not my daughter, Lyanna said softly. Jordan looked at her, confused. Maybe this is why God led you to our orphanage, she added. Jordan still looked puzzled, unsure of what she meant or where she was going with it. Taking a deep breath, Lyanna continued, Mr. Jordan, you're Carissa's biological father. She didn't die in that hospital fire. I saved her. Jordan's world stopped spinning. Lyanna told him everything, what happened that day, and how Carissa ended up under her care. But Jordan couldn't absorb it all. Everything he'd believed for years was being shattered. He remembered being told by the hospital staff that both his partner and child had perished in the fire. Can you please get out for a second? Jordan asked, his voice strained. Lyanna stepped out of the car without a word. She barely had time to react before Jordan drove off at full speed. He was going to dig through the past. He needed to find out the truth for himself. He had seen the bodies side by side, his girlfriend and a small child. He had mourned for years. Does he not believe me? Lyanna whispered, sighing as she watched the car disappear. Maybe he just needs time. Still, she was relieved. At last, Carissa would know her real parent. Lyanna, can we talk? Sister Anna called from behind. Lyanna turned to see the other nuns, concern written across their faces. She nodded in response. Inside the orphanage, she told them everything about the photograph, about the song, and about what she had told Jordan. They were all stunned. What's your plan now? He'll probably come back to take her, one of the nuns said quietly. They felt sorry for Lyanna. After years of loving and raising Carissa, it was obvious how much she had given her heart to the child. Lyanna couldn't hold back her sobs any longer. She wept openly in front of them. That night, after everyone had settled down, Lyanna gently stroked her daughter's hair as she slept, her heart still heavy. She was silently hoping Jordan would come back. Mama? Carissa's voice suddenly called out. Yes, sweetie. I'm not really your daughter, am I? I'm just like the other kids here. Lyanna's heart sank. Please don't lie to me anymore, Mama.
I heard what you talked about with Sister Anna.
I know Mr. Jordan is my real dad, and I know you adopted me, Carissa said softly, her voice tinged with sadness. Lyanna pulled her into a tight hug and cried quietly. She had been struggling to figure out how to tell Carissa the truth. You may not have come from me, but you're my daughter, Carissa.
I'm still your mom. Never forget that. I know, Mama. That's why. Thank you.
Thank you for never giving up on me, Carissa replied.
Lyanna cried harder.
Despite her young age, Carissa understood everything. She didn't cry or get angry. She simply accepted it with grace.
Lyanna was so proud of her.
There was a knock on the door.
Lyanna wiped her tears and stood up.
Stay here for a minute, okay, sweetheart, she said. She opened the door and gasped. Mr. Jordan, she whispered in surprise. Sister Eva, who had knocked, added, he wants to talk to you and see his daughter.
Lyanna glanced back at the bed and saw Carissa fast asleep.
Come in, she said softly. She was awake a moment ago, but she's fallen asleep.
Jordan stepped inside quietly. Sister Eva nodded and left them alone.
He sat at the edge of the bed, watching his daughter as she slept. She must be tired from all the excitement, he said.
I found out everything.
She didn't die in the fire. Because I saved her, Lyanna replied.
Thank you, Lyanna.
Thank you for being her mother all these years.
Thank you for never abandoning her. I don't know how I can ever repay you.
Lyanna smiled, taking a seat across from him, her gaze also fixed on Carissa. You've already done more than enough, Mr. Jordan.
Donating to this orphanage. That was more than enough.
And odd we'd end up here, she said, trying to lighten the mood. Jordan chuckled. Neither of them had expected things to turn out this way.
Why don't you stay the night? You can sleep beside your daughter.
I'll stay with Sister Anna, Lyanna offered, noticing how tired he looked. Jordan was about to stand up, but instead he gently took her hand.
Lyanna's breath caught in her throat. She felt like electricity had just surged through her entire body.
Jordan let go quickly and averted his gaze. You should stay here, too. If she wakes up and doesn't see you, she might get scared. I don't even know how to face her yet, he murmured.
Don't worry, Mr. Jordan. Carissa knows everything now. She's a smart, understanding child.
That's how I raised her, Lyanna assured him.
Jordan nodded.
I know, but I'm still afraid she won't accept me or like me. Then stay with us tonight.
You don't have to worry.
We're harmless, Lyanna said with a soft smile. Though her heart pounded, Lyanna agreed. The bed was big enough for all three of them. She and Jordan lay on either side of Carissa. As Jordan closed his eyes, Lyanna found herself watching him quietly.
He's so handsome.
Why didn't I notice that before, she thought.
Maybe because I was too angry at him earlier.
She pressed her hand to her chest as her heart pounded again. She shook her head and pulled the covers over them, closing her eyes to rest.
The next morning, Lyanna was the last to wake up. She'd slept so well.
It felt like she'd been hugging a huge soft pillow all night.
It smelled good, too, though it was a little firm to the touch.
Huh? I don't remember owning a pillow this big.
And why does it feel so hard?
Like a rock, she thought, her eyes still closed as her hands wandered curiously over what she had been hugging. She heard soft giggles and the sound of a camera shutter. That's when she finally opened her eyes. She sprang up in bed, horrified. It wasn't a pillow she'd been cuddling and squeezing.
It was a person, and not just anyone.
Oh my God, I'm a total creep, she muttered, realizing she'd forgotten they had company.
I'm sorry.
I guess I slept too well, she stammered just as Jordan stirred awake, too. Carissa, already awake, burst into laughter. She had clearly enjoyed the show. She had woken up earlier and, upon seeing their sleeping position, had taken a photo with her phone.
Lyanna turned to her daughter, eyes wide in disbelief.
Then her jaw dropped when she saw the phone's camera facing them.
Mama, you two look so cute.
Look at this, Carissa said as she showed her the picture.
Sweetheart, give me that phone, Lyanna said in a panic. Nope.
Chase me if you want it, or I'll show it to Sister Anna, Carissa teased, running out of the room.
Lyanna could only gape in embarrassment, pointing after her mischievous daughter before glancing back at Jordan, who was now smiling.
She definitely got that side from you, Lyanna muttered before running after Carissa. She reached the dining hall, hair tousled, still not fully presentable. There she found that she was too late. Carissa was already surrounded by others, proudly showing off the photo on her phone.
Don't believe anything you see. I just slept deeply and forgot we had a guest, Lyanna explained quickly. You all know how I sleep. I cling to whoever's next to me. The nuns exchanged amused looks while the kids burst out laughing. Lyanna, looks like you're falling in love, one boy joked.
You've only known each other a day and already like this, Sister Eva added teasingly. Lyanna could only bury her face in her hand, unable to hide her shame.
All right, enough. Let's eat breakfast, Sister Anna said, coming to her rescue. And stop teasing. Mr. Jordan might hear you. Everyone settled down and began to eat.
Mr. Jordan, please come join us for breakfast.
Don't be shy, Sister Anna called out. Lyanna quickly darted back inside the house, still flustered.
She only came out again after making sure everyone else had finished eating. Finally out of the bathroom, one of the nuns remarked with a knowing tone.
Where are the kids? Lyanna asked, noticing the empty hall. They're outside playing with Mr. Jordan.
They're having a great time, the nun replied.
Lyanna heard the loud laughter and squeals coming from the yard and peeked out.
She saw the children laughing, running around, playing, especially Carissa, who was clearly enjoying herself with her father. Now that father and daughter had found each other, Lyanna knew the time was coming. She would soon have to let go. She sighed deeply, unable to hide her sadness.
Mama, come join us,
Carissa yelled, spotting her from a distance.
Oh, no. You guys go ahead, Lyanna replied, still hesitant.
They were playing a game of dodgeball. Some of the nuns were playing too, while others watched with smiles.
Lyanna was caught off guard when Carissa ran over and dragged her into the game. You're on Papa's and my team.
We have to dodge the ball so we don't get tagged, she said excitedly.
Lyanna wanted to say no.
It was a game for kids, but she didn't have time to protest as the ball was already flying. She focused on avoiding the ball. So did Jordan, who looked like he hadn't played in years, but was clearly enjoying himself.
At one point, Carissa almost fell to the ground from dodging too quickly. Thankfully, someone caught her in time. Who else but Jordan?
Lyanna looked on in surprise as he scooped Carissa up, their faces just inches apart. For a moment, Lyanna found herself staring at Jordan's face, realizing how handsome he truly was. Her heart pounded again, loud, fast.
You okay? Jordan asked softly, genuine concern in his voice.
The teasing resumed immediately.
Papa, Mama's blushing. Look at her face.
It's turning red, Carissa shouted, laughing. Lyanna scowled and chased after her daughter, trying to teach her a lesson.
Carissa squealed and ran off, laughing. The nuns and children laughed, too.
This playful bond between mother and daughter was nothing new.
Jordan couldn't stop watching them. He saw so clearly now. Lyanna had truly become a mother to his daughter. He smiled as he watched Carissa squeal with laughter as Lyanna tickled her.
He had made up his mind. He wouldn't take Carissa away from the people who loved her. She would stay right here in the orphanage with Lyanna and everyone else who cared for her. He had originally planned to bring Carissa home to his mansion and start a new life with her. But seeing how loved she was here, he changed his mind. He couldn't tear her away from her real home or from the woman who had raised her like her own.
Lyanna was the only mother figure Carissa had ever known.
And Jordan, he was starting to realize something else.
After the games and laughter, Lyanna and Jordan sat together quietly away from the others. Can I ask you to stay by my side?
Jordan suddenly said, breaking the silence.
Lyanna looked up at him, unsure of what he meant.
"I've decided not to take Carissa away from the orphanage. I see how happy she is here with you."
"Who am I to take that away from her?"
Jordan explained. Tears welled up in Lyanna's eyes. She had thought for sure she would lose her daughter today. She had spent the whole morning cherishing every last moment, fearing they would be her final ones with Carissa.
Unable to contain her emotion, Lyanna ran to Jordan and hugged him tightly. "Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Thank you so much.
I don't know what I would have done if Carissa was taken from me. She's like my own child. It would have broken me to lose her," Lyanna sobbed. Jordan was caught off guard by the hug and took a while to react. When he did, he realized just how fast his heart was racing and how warm his face had become.
Lyanna quickly pulled away, embarrassed.
"I'm sorry, I got carried away. Please forgive me." Luckily, they were far from the orphanage, away from the teasing eyes of Carissa and the other kids.
Jordan smiled. "It's all right. Carissa grew up here.
I won't take her from you.
I'll just visit every day. And sometimes maybe I'll even sleep over."
"That's perfectly fine, Mr. Jordan.
The bed's big enough. You're welcome anytime."
"Sister Anna will be thrilled when I tell her," Lyanna replied, unable to hide the joy on her face. There was still laughter and playfulness at the orphanage. Carissa continued to charm everyone, running around and being her usual cheerful self. Just as Jordan had promised, he returned daily to see his daughter. He even started driving her and the other kids to and from school. Sometimes he spent the night at the orphanage, and he seemed more at home there than in his mansion. In his big empty house, he was alone. No children, no laughter.
Here he had Carissa and Lyanna.
Over the months, as Jordan spent more time at the orphanage, he couldn't help but fall for Lyanna. He had already noticed her beauty the first time they met. But it was her kindness, her selflessness, and how she cared for Carissa and all the children that made him admire her more deeply. "Mama, I have something for you," Carissa shouted, running into the orphanage one afternoon.
Lyanna was surprised by her daughter's sudden entrance and beaming face. Carissa was holding 2 roses. "Wow, for me?" Lyanna asked.
Carissa grinned and handed her the flowers.
"Papa gave them to me to give to you." Just then, Jordan walked in with the other children. Lyanna gave him a sweet smile and showed him the flowers.
"Thank you for these," she said brightly. Jordan looked puzzled, but smiled and shook his head as he realized what had happened.
Carissa had been asking for flowers earlier that day. Now he knew why.
She wanted to give them to Lyanna and say they were from him. She was quite the matchmaker, and it wasn't the first time.
Carissa and even some of the other kids had been teasing them for weeks.
She kept giving Lyanna flowers and saying they were from Jordan, even when they weren't.
Lyanna knew this, of course, but she went along with her daughter's playful antics. "Mama, our birthday is tomorrow. Can we go to the beach to celebrate?" Carissa asked later that night while they were in their room. Jordan was there, too. He'd stopped going back to his mansion. Lyanna was surprised. He had arrived one day with a suitcase and didn't seem to have any plans of returning home. "Your birthday?" Jordan asked, curious. He turned to Lyanna, who was beside him. "Yes, it's both our birthdays tomorrow."
"I don't actually know Carissa's real birth date, so I celebrate hers with mine," she explained.
Jordan nodded. Carissa's actual birthday had already passed, but they could still celebrate this one.
"Papa, let's go to the beach, all of us," Carissa said happily, running to her father.
Jordan hesitated, pretending to think it over.
Carissa's cheerful face suddenly turned sad.
"So, you won't go? I guess you don't love me or Mama." "No one loves me," she pouted dramatically. Jordan and Lyanna couldn't help but laugh. Of course, Jordan wanted to go. It would be a great way to relax and bond. He just wanted to tease his daughter a little, to make up for all her mischief. Where else could she have gotten her playful nature? That night, as Carissa finally fell asleep,